Welcome to episode 172 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar, is here. How you doing, Warren?
I'm still here. Haven't really left this seat since we.
Yeah, I think you were here last week in that same seat, but
yeah, no, this is where I'm going to be until Monday. So,
all right,
getting out on Monday, I think is my point.
Glad you're feeling better though. And we have back on the show. Always glad to have her, Kelly Guimont. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing well, David. How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad you're here. We have so much stuff to talk about. There's always stuff to talk about in the world of Apple. Yeah, we just got some news. iOS 15 keeps rolling on, and lots of changes there. And we'll talk about the iPhone and the iPad Mini, and I've got some iOS 15 tips, time permitting here. But yeah, let's just go ahead and just dive right in and see what's going on out there. Dive right in here. So, let's go to the first story here. The first story here is on Mac Rumors. New AirPods Pro firmware enables conversation boost, and they tell you how to turn it on. It was the 4A400 was the for the second generation AirPods and AirPods Pro and the AirPods Max. On the AirPods Pro, they updated and it enables a new conversation boost feature that Apple previewed at WWDC earlier this year. Apple says the conversation boost is designed to help people with mild hearing challenges to stay more connected in conversations. The feature uses the AirPods Pro forming microphones to boost the volume and talk to the person in front of you, making it easier to listen to a face-to-face conversation. And there's also an option to reduce ambient noise, which is cool. I'm going to go through and how you actually turn that on. It's been interesting. Actually, I think it's been interesting to see with AirPods in general, just the firmware release and updates have been just a little crazy. Don't you think, Kelly?
Well, it's been a little bit rapid fire the last few weeks. It seems like we've had a number of them.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I have sort of liked about it is that, like in general, we've been able to they've been able to add quite a bit of stuff just by updating firmware in those, which I think is kind of nice. So I do appreciate that in those. But I think like the thing I don't like about it is that I don't have it's all magic. I don't get the opportunity to go like, it's out, go update them and like be done with it, or like manually go and check like I can with the software for my phone or for my computer. Like, let me just go look and see if there's an update and make sure that what I'm running is the latest version. And I wish I had that sort of capability, because put your AirPods in the case and put it near your phone and wait is not a solution that I like. Yeah.
No, that definitely isn't. But I'm liking some of the new features. Also, Find My is now finally enabled with this.
Find My is a thing, yeah.
Is a thing now. So now that's finally been updated. So they have that available. And yeah, I mean, I actually was using the AirPods Pro with my Apple TV here the other day, watching the morning show and Ted Lasso and the spatial audio. I was just turning my head around, like, wow, where am I here? It is phenomenal, the sound with that, and then you put it in and you put it in noise cancellation mode. It's just even more phenomenal. It really just lets you just watch the show and it immerses you in it. So I'm glad to see some more updates, and I'm glad to see that they're staying updated, because it's not very exactly cheap to buy a pair of these every so often here. So Warren, what do you think of these AirPods updates?
Yeah, well, first I watched use the Apple TV to watch HBO Max. Doom Patrol, the 5 episodes, which I like. I don't remember if I actually got the spatial audio from the HBO Max app on the Apple TV or not, but it sounded great with the AirPods, so I was happy. It's good. I still love my AirPods a lot.
Me too.
And the only thing I'll probably mention is the conversation boost is different than what they had previous, but they did have something where they did have a similar thing where the conversation boost was through, I believe, the phone. If the phone heard the conversation, it amplified it into your ears, and they had that for their hearing aid. And of course, the big joke was people leaving their phones in conference rooms and leaving and seeing what happened. So, so this is you're saying this is different, right? This is actually through the AirPods microphone itself going into your earphones, which is really cool.
I think it was also something specific with like the motion of your head. So like, you know, you're trying to hear the waiter standing over here. So if you turn your head toward the waiter with your AirPods in, like it's like semi-directional too. So like the person who's talking in your direction, it will pick that up and then be able to. I feel like that has to be related to spatial audio, like being able to figure out the source and do computation around that to make it come towards you. So I think that probably had something to do with it, but I think it
comes in handy.
Super cool.
Yeah, even if you're not that hard of hearing, and there's a lot of situations where
it could just still come in a lot handy.
Comes in handy. Be able to hear. So just check it out. You can eventually the upgrade will go through. So you don't, for those who don't like to mess around with the forcing the updates. You can just go into as it says in this article, it says you can go to the settings app, general, about, and tap AirPods and look for the version number, and the firmware versions in there. So, but you'll eventually get it. It does push, and most of us are patient, but some want it right away. So, but
the other thing I would mention is to look in there at the other options that are available to you, because there's a whole like configuration situation for your AirPods when they're connected. Right. And if you go look at them in settings under Bluetooth and go to like info, I think it is, there's all kinds of things you can configure there. And it seems like every month or so, I will mention to somebody like, well, if you don't like that it does that every time you touch them, you can make that double tap instead. And what are you talking about? And like, suddenly like I'm a witch because I knew there was this secret settings panel somewhere. So
that's right.
I want to point out like that's a thing that you can totally do, and it's awesome because like anything that, you know, if you spend a couple of minutes and fix it once, like it can do a lot to make them a lot easier to use and a lot more convenient.
Absolutely. All right, let's go on to the next story. The Mac Rumors, Apple is crediting the 3% daily cash to Apple Card users who experienced issues with their iPhone 13 purchase. Yes, me. Back on launch day, iPhone 13, number of Apple Card users, including myself, had difficulties placing orders for their devices, with many of those ultimately resorting to a different form of payment in order to ensure that their orders went through and guarantee that I got it on Friday, which I did, yes. And lots of complaints about that. A lot of shared complaints with Mac Rumor readers and others. And apparently Apple decided, that might be a good idea to do that. Well, it didn't come through, and I got impatient because it was over 2 weeks since that happened. So I resorted to calling them, and then when people said they had no idea what I was talking about, I said this social media was saying this is happening. I have no idea. So then I resorted to go to social media. I went on Twitter and tweeted it to Goldman Sachs and to Apple Card and to Apple, and miraculously it said they got back to me. And so eventually what happened was I got to a supervisor, and then the supervisor took care of it. And then a few days later I got the email. So, but overall,
you might have convinced them to do it. So
I could have.
Like Ginsburg,
I could have.
We don't want that Twitter pressure again.
I mean,
so we're going to do this for everybody.
It wasn't a lot of money, granted, because I was only charging the tax in the first payment, or the first one or two payments, so it was a small amount. So it was like $4, but it's the principle of it. I mean, I didn't want. I wanted to use the Apple Card. Then I had to go to Citizens One and change my payment card because I want the 3% every month. I'm getting charged for it. So, so I mean, it happens. Things happen. It's unfortunate. It seems like Apple, since at least the Apple Card seems they've been having some issues lately with that. So, but
I think the thing to consider on that one is that I don't know that Apple, like, I feel like Apple's not the bottleneck here. I feel like Goldman Sachs hasn't had to deal with credit on this scale, because if there's one thing Apple has been able to do in the last however many years, I don't remember, since the first iPhone. If there's one thing that Apple has been able to do effectively, that is make sure that they have every possible avenue available in order for people to give them money.
Right.
And that's why, like, you can buy it from the carrier, you can buy it from Apple, you can buy it in a store, you can order it ahead of time, you can buy it in a box with a Fox. Like, they've done everything they can to make sure that you can get one from them. So I feel like in this case, it has to be that Goldman Sachs was like what tipped over in this whole process.
It seems it.
They hadn't had the number of Apple Card holders and the number of pre-orders at the same time like this before.
They've had issues before. Apple's ordering system has certainly had issues before.
Yes.
But this definitely smells like a Goldman Sachs issue.
This is
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was like, it was 20 after 7 Central Time. I was like, I'm not going to get this order in. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to hit this phone. So I had pull out my Amazon Visa card, which I had, and I put the credit card number in and it went through. So I was like, at least I got I got it. And I got my baby. Thank you.
The payment processor had no problem processing your payment.
Right.
Because as soon as you fed it a different number,
it was fine.
It was fine.
It was Goldman Sachs.
I used my Amex. I woke up in the morning, used the Amex, and went right through.
You're right. I didn't even think of that. That does prove that it was definitely Goldman Sachs. It wasn't Apple. So, well, it's over, and we've got our iPhones, and we'll move on. It's old news now.
Some of us.
Yeah. Next story. This is Goldmac rumors. Google's to fix the bug that disables Safari AMP search results on iOS 15 devices. A bug in iOS 15 and iPad OS 15 is preventing Safari from loading the AMP links for Google search results. But the issue is not intentional, and Google is preparing for a fix that's set to be released in the near future. And the developer posted a blog about this. If anybody isn't familiar with AMP is, I think it's the most annoying thing there ever is known to man. Basically, it's a search result that keeps you in Google's world, but brings you to the website, and you have a URL. And there is an app out there that actually our friend Jeff Gamet turned me onto it, and others on another show called Amplosion. That is a plugin for iOS 15 that tells AMP to go away, and so this I never understood why Google has to do this, and it's annoying, but I guess it is what it is. What do you think, Kelly? They don't have to. That's the first thing. This is true. It's totally their decision to do this. They've actively made this decision. I too think it's terrible, and I was going to joke that you are reporting that like it's a bad thing that those AMP pages don't work. No, it's not. It's really not that big a deal, or not that big a problem, I'll say. And I find them frustrating and hard to use and hard to navigate. Like if I want to follow a link from the page that gets loaded from AMP, like everything's weird and not everything works quite like it should. And it all sort of feels like there's something wrong with my phone or something wrong with the website, when really there's nothing wrong with the website. It's just AMP being AMP. And I find it frustrating, and I wish that they would knock it off. And I would like to think that maybe there would be some sort of notice of the fact that I think it's like the number one paid app in the store, or it was at one point. Yeah. Because it's like a $3 app or something. Yeah, it's $3. That makes it so that you can, and so I feel like given Google's like deep inner need for quantifying everything, that they should be looking at that. Like people are paying good money to make AMP pages go away. Yeah. That should tell us something about the experience of using an AMP page. Absolutely. So I would like to think that that's a thing that's going to happen. I have absolutely no faith that it will. I just hope that it does. Hope so too. So yeah. And Warren, in your blurry face and of you being on video, what do you think? Yeah, so mother. Is that why you're stuck in the basement? Because you keep going out of focus? Yeah. I guess so. Oh, you're better. Go ahead. What do you think, Warren? Yeah, no, I just have to stop and start my camera. No, I have no opinion on the app. I didn't notice it at all. So
didn't bother me, obviously, because I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Well, I quit going to those. I actively avoid them where I can until I got this app. So yeah, so it hasn't bothered me either.
All right. And then this is from Tech Radar. 10 years of Siri. It's been 10 years ago this week that Siri was released out in the wild. And somehow, yes, it's been 10 years since that happened, October 2011. It was integrated on the iPhone 4S. So we have to wish Siri a happy...
The S is for Siri.
And yes, it was. That's what we thought anyway.
And now it stands for subpar.
Well, that's what they told us at the time. So.
And they're just talking about the history of Siri and what it came from and where it came from and who does the voice. I know there was the woman's name was Susan Bennett, and I think she was a voiceover artist. And we go through what was it like that Siri was 10 years ago. We all thought it was really cool, but then it started to be really bad because it just was not very accurate. But I think it's 10 years. It's come a long way. It's gotten a lot better over the years. I mean, it still has its moments, and we'll see where it goes. But I think Apple was smart putting in place. What do you think, Kelly?
Yeah, I like it. And the thing, like, it's sort of weird because the thing that I always have it mixed up with is, like, we got the 4S the day before Steve passed away because those were right next to each other. And so, like, that's kind of like, that's always sort of a thing that I think about. Earlier this summer, if I may do a little advertising, I did an episode of Daily Observations where I talked to Dan Morin from Macworld in 6 Colors about the evolution of the voice assistant. It's still really hard for me to say her name.
S Lady.
Yeah, I always have to say S Lady. And we talked about how it doesn't seem like she has evolved over time the way some of the other things have evolved over time. Like if you look at Maps, after we've had, after a significant amount of time at Maps, like Maps has gotten a lot better than it used to be. And different, like other different technologies that Apple has rolled out, like they've gotten a lot better over time. And it feels like Siri has had small incremental updates and improvements, but never really got to like 2.0, which was kind of what Dan was talking about, which is why I had him on the show to chat with me. And it's so like in certain ways she's gotten better, but in other ways it doesn't seem like it's evolved quite enough. And I think part of that is probably user expectation because we think everything that's going to come out of Apple is going to be amazing right out of the gate. And like once the novelty wore off of talking to your phone and not having it be a phone call that was responding to you, but like your phone itself was telling you things, which was super great. Like that was novel and cool and interesting. But then when you started wanting to rely on it for stuff, it wasn't doing quite as good a job as we wanted it to.
Yep.
And so I think that's where it came from is like everybody says it sucks because everybody wants it to be amazing. We all want, I'm trying to think of a good robot assistant off the top of my head and I can't pick one. So, everybody wants like the super awesome AI robot assistant, to plug another podcast. Like everybody wants, a nice Westworld robot that's like superhuman and super sentient and able to do all kinds of stuff and tell you all these things. And that's not what we have yet. And I think that's part of why people sort of, so I think that's why sometimes it doesn't get enough credit for being what it is and what it does. And I know that as an assistant, it doesn't do quite as well as some of the other ones. But I also know that Siri doesn't know anything about me the way the other ones would if I was using those. So I feel like for me, that's a fair trade. So.
And I would ask her to open the pod bay doors all the time because everybody had got a kick of what the remark is, and then also asking what 0 divided by 0 is, and then how Cookie Monster can't count his cookies. So there's always been some fun things with Siri, but also some very practical things as well. So I think it'll continue to evolve. Warren, do you have any other thoughts about Siri before we move on?
Yeah, just kind of made me remember before the 10 years, they did have the voice. It was before Siri, and they had a voice command thing that you could use.
Yeah.
Even like I think from the iPhone 2 on, right? It was you would push it, it would just make a noise. It would go, and then you would
like voiceover. Like you could use voiceover on iOS really early on.
It wasn't voiceover. It was a voice. It was voice commands. It wasn't Siri,
okay.
but you were able to use voice commands. That was before Siri.
Yeah.
So when Siri came out, it was kind of a whole new thing.
Yep.
And then, you Kelly mentioned some of the others, the Amazon thing out of the gate just worked better, even whether it knew anything about you or not. If you ask it, temperature or timers and things like that, it worked better. I find my main frustration with Siri is that half the time it just doesn't work. It just says, I can't do that right now, or something like that. Or I had a problem communicating with something. But to be fair, I don't really use the Amazons or anything really that often either.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times, unfortunately, I find it more effective just to go to the phone and do what I need to do rather than talking to it.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that is the approach, because when we initially got Siri, it was the companion to your phone. And so it was always going to rely on the screen. Like, I've pulled up those web results for you, or, whatever. And the other two assistants didn't start that way. They started as voice assistants. So like, it was a long time before you got an Echo device with a screen, but for a long time, you could buy Echo devices without screens that would work and that would be awesome, because they were never meant to pull up a display for you and show you the results that you were looking for if it couldn't do anything else. It always had to be able to give you something. So what we got, like, by itself, like, if you put, like, when you put Siri in a HomePod Mini, like, that's the thing that, like, that's the first time that it's been a disembodied voice and didn't have a screen to fall back on. And I think that's part of why it didn't evolve quite like it could have
HomePod.
at the time.
Not the Mini, the original HomePod.
And the HomePod too.
Well, even original HomePod, like, there was no screen for it to interact with or anything like that. So I think,
right.
Like, it seems like,
but that was a big frustration. Is like, again, when you said, who shot, whoever JR in 2019-20 or whatever, it says this is what I found on the web. So you end up pulling up your phone anyways, and usually it brought up some kind of bad web result that I was getting from a Wolfman Alpha.
Wolfram Alpha.
Wolfram Alpha, right.
Who changed his name to Wolfman Alpha for October when he's on Twitter.
Wolfman Jack Alpha. Anyhow, so I mean, I'm glad that it's still improving, and hopefully, and that rumored screened HomePod never really came to fruition.
No.
Maybe one day that will come around. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mostly, I use mine to turn on lights, like set stuff around the house, like smart home commands. Far and away, that's the thing I say to her the most. And then we had Echo devices for a long time at my house, because there was a point where there was an Echo. It was like the second generation Echo or something. And Mr. Kelly looked at me and went, "Is Apple ever going to make one of these?" And I went, and at that point, the answer was, "Good Lord, no. Why?" So I went, "No, I really don't think, like, if they are, it's not anytime soon." And he goes, "Well, if it's, I can take it back to Best Buy in 30 days if I hate it." So he brought one home and it never left. And so then we got a couple more. And then I got a HomePod Mini for my birthday last year.
I remember.
And it was very exciting for me. And set it up and, like, used it for things, set everything up to work through HomeKit and make everything, boss the lights around and all the kind of stuff that we needed to do. And eventually, Costco started having them on sale, and it was like we were collecting them. And then Mr. Kelly would come home from Costco and be like, "I bought this and this and this and this and a HomePod Mini and this and this." Like, every Costco trip had one until we had, like, a bunch around the house. And then at one point, because I said, like, "What are you going to do with that one?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I went, "Do you think we need a stereo pair for the bedroom TV or something?" And he went, "That's a thing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, that's what it's doing now. So now I have awesome sound in the bedroom." And, like, different, like, I don't know how it sort of ended up happening, but then, like, the next thing I knew, we were able to take all the Echo devices out, and now everything's HomePod, and it's just, and so far, like, we haven't had, Warren, the experience that you've had with them. Like, it's well more than 90% of the time, I would say. I would tell her, I can tell her to do something and she'll do it. Sometimes she'll say she did it, but it didn't actually happen. But that's really rare. So
Yeah, I don't know if it's a blip in connectivity or whatever, but
it's a voice assistant. It happens enough. Yeah. But happy birthday, Siri. 10 years old. Then the last story was Apple wants CarPlay to be able to control your car. Its core car functions. This is a link through from MacTech to Bloomberg. Apple wants to expand CarPlay's functionality to include controls for core car functions like air conditioning system, radio, speedometer, seats, and more. According to Bloomberg, CarPlay provides a simplified way to, of course, use your iPhone interface, and I absolutely love it. It works really well. It was part of a project codenamed Ironheart, and it's in its early stages. But of course, Apple's going to have to work with car makers in order for them to take advantage of this CarPlay's functionality. Of course, a lot of car manufacturers. I have Fiat, Chrysler, Dodge that has Uconnect, and I would welcome this with open arms because Uconnect is horrible. And having the fact that it's fully integrating all of the car's functions would be awesome, because now you have to go CarPlay, then move over back to Uconnect to get access to functions here. So I think this was a great news to hear and see where it goes. Obviously, this is a rumor and discussion right now, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm hoping that something will happen of it in the future. What do you think, Warren?
Makes sense. No, it makes complete sense to be able to do that.
If only Tesla would do it.
Well, Tesla does it. I mean, right now the infotainment system controls everything from everything. In fact, there's no buttons. There's no controls other than the
touch
screen. So, like, to open up my doors, the doors have a button. That's one thing that have a button. But most of the stuff you have to use a screen. Bless you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. Was that live or was that?
No, that was my wife.
Okay, no mind that. Anyway, so the we were just kind of like ragging on Siri a little bit. So hey, as turn on the air conditioner if it works.
Right.
That'd be great. Because again, with the Tesla, I could do that. With Tesla, I could actually push the button and say, set temperature to 77 degrees, and we'll do it. And that's great. Do it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go over into the topics this week. I made this a topic this week only because it is very important. Apple released iOS 15.0.1 with the Apple Watch unlock fix on the iPhone 13 and more. 1 week after iPhone 13 and iOS 15 came out, there was a bug fix update. What a surprise. And it was rolled out to both the iPhone and the iPad. And with the unlock with Apple Watch feature, which was really annoying me, of the fact that I couldn't unlock when I'm unfortunately having to wear a mask. So it was very, very annoying for that first week. So they did add to this, as well as some touchscreen responsive issues that they were reporting. But it is unclear if that actually fixes it as well. And go ahead, get it out. Go get it. Which leads into the fact that iOS 15.1 is in beta, and we're at beta 3 at this point. Warren, did you already brave it? And is it on your iPhone 13 Pro Max you just got?
Yeah, I'm all in now. So
okay, I knew you were. That's why I said to make sure.
I haven't played with the Pro. I haven't played with this ProRes thing. I'm not even sure what it is. So I'll do that at some point. And then I think last week it was either on this show or Chuck's show. I said I hope Apple pushes out the fix for the mask sooner rather than later, and they did, which is a good thing. So they did push it out quickly. Yeah, which is always a good thing. Other than that, the beta's on. I have it on the phone. I had it on the iPad, but of course, I'm selling the iPad, so I just downgraded it back to. Better to downgrade it, so you don't want to be sending something in beta. No, not to a general non-techie human. Definitely not. So I haven't noticed much. I did not do the watch. You'll be proud of me.
I am proud of you.
Because there's a 50-50 shot of me getting a new one tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. So,
we'll talk about that in a bit.
if I put the beta on that one, that could be a problem.
Yes, it could. 'Cause you can't go back.
It's like a tattoo.
Couple of the features that were added that is in iOS 15.1 and beta 3 did add support for ProRes video capture, which with the standard iPhone camera app, and that can be toggled by going to the settings app, selecting the camera section, and from there you can tap formats and toggle Apple ProRes. Of course, you know that the ProRes is limited to 30 frames per second at 1080p on devices with only 128 gigs of storage, but higher capacities can record in 4K. And they're saying that a 1 minute 10-bit HDR ProRes video can take up to 1.7 gigabytes in HD mode, which is crazy. Yeah, it's 10-bit, excuse me. And then in macro shots, the iPhone 13 Pro models, which is an awesome feature. I've been playing around with that. It swaps over to the ultra wide lens when the iPhone cameras gets close to the object, but some people don't like that because it can be difficult to get a shot when the camera's consistently swapping back and forth, because that's what happens when you go real close. It swaps. And they added the feature where you can turn on or off the auto macro feature because they didn't have that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they didn't have that before, so that's a good feature that's in there. And so far, those are the only two things that stood out where we're at. I think SharePlay is also enabled, which isn't mentioned in 15.1 because that was held back when 15.0 came out. So it'll be interesting to see where all that goes when it comes to that. So. And like Warren said, WatchOS 8.1 is out to developers. No big changes. Same thing with tvOS. So there's never anything really super exciting with those .1 releases with those two devices in most cases. So, but we're anticipating. I would think this update's going to probably get released within the next week or two. I would say they're beta 3 already. So we'll see what happens. Well, don't you say, Warren? You'll be ready for the next beta.
No, I'm ready for, production releases at this point. I mean,
really,
usually when I start to, I do this every year when the new devices drop, with the new iPads drop and the new iPhones drop, and including the new Mac drops. I tell myself for 2 days that I'm going to stay on production. I'm not going to do the betas anymore for a while, and then I break down. But There is a time where I like to be, kind of normal for a bit.
Okay, well, that is unusual to you for be normal. Well, so we'll take your word for it.
Yes. No, it is.
Speaking of normal, you are of course, and I'm so glad you're feeling much better after not being a little under weather, and we're not able to get your iPhone on release day on that last Friday, but you did get your iPhone 13 Pro Max finally. And you've only had it for a few days, right? So we wanted to find out some of your first impressions of the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and which size did you get?
I got in space gray, I believe, with a 256, like I usually do.
Yeah, that's plenty.
I got the Pro Max. Transfer went over well enough. It's better than my 12 Max Pro. The thing that I like the most so far definitely is the close-up pictures, because I constantly found myself, not even just for photography reasons, but just for seeing things closer, or some things that are really small that I need to see. With my 12 Pro Max, it was a game of lifting it up and down until I got until it came into focus, even though Jeff said there's some tricks on that, but this is automatic. I could just put it right next to something,
right?
Put it a millimeter away, and it will take a great picture.
2 centimeters.
2 centimeters, yeah. So that was fun. The first day I made a little video of my 2 dogs, and I tried the video with the face.
Cinematic mode.
Yeah, and it kind of worked. I should post that one day, but it's kind of cute.
I have the video of me and Guy and me looking back at him. So
yeah, and that will be the only times we ever do that again. So I mean, that's cute, but it's fine. The screen is good. Battery life. My wife got the 13 yesterday, just regular 13, and she's already said how much better the battery has been.
Of course.
So But she had a 10S, so that's going a couple.
Yeah, it's going to be dramatically better at that point.
Yeah. So I was telling Dave before he came, Kelly, is my wife was reluctant to upgrade for all these years because she was afraid that she can't get the same case that she had for her phone. So
case is important because of pop sockets.
It kills me inside, Ashley. I die a little bit when she says that. So.
Well, the pop socket stuff is great, and they make them for MagSafe now and stuff. And
well,
there's a whole thing now. Like,
I gotta try. Yeah, there's a pop socket MagSafe, a MagSafe that's supposedly sticking on there, but I'm curious to see how well that holds, because if those pop-up sockets are really meant to be, well, it's firmly attached, but I think it uses like something in the case. The pop socket just passes the magnetic through, so that, like if you put it on and then it's got a MagSafe charger that you can use that works with it. I don't know quite how they've managed to do it, but it does look super cool. I looked into it. The one she has is it's an OtterBox commuter series with a pop socket that kind of recesses back into the case.
I don't.
So I got to find that one again, and it's not the easiest thing to find. But anyways, so we're upgraded. My son's a bit jealous because he's got a 12 still, but T-Mobile really, if the deal goes through, like the way they were saying, I heard you talking to Bob about this, Kelly.
That was today.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he talked about last week too, about, going through, but if the deal is what they say it is, then it essentially both my phone and her phone will be free after the 24 months of credits. And, she'll be fine. I'm going to see how it goes after a year when the 14 comes out, and I want that. I think I'll be able just to pay off the remainder balance or whatever it is, and they'll just kind of start from there. So,
usually that's how those agreements tend to go. So,
yeah. Well, my son had this, so my son did one of the same things, and then he went up to Ireland, and I forgot that his phone was kind of being not financed, but we had the deal, so they weren't going to unlock it unless I paid it off, and I had to pay it off. But it was easy. We didn't really lose money off the deal, and we just paid off whatever we owed. And so, if it works the way they said, well it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Good. And then you said that you just sold your iPad M1, the 11-inch, I think you had, right?
12.9.
That's right, the 12.9 you sold. And then you've decided that you're thinking about going with the iPad Mini, the 6th gen.
It's on order.
Oh, you ordered it. Okay. So
I ordered a Mini.
I'm way behind the times. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, don't even think if you can ever keep up with Warren.
So when I went to pick up my phone, I had also ordered the Mini because I've been waiting for something like that, the iPad Mini, for a while. Okay. And I got there and I looked at the display unit and I'm like, this is gorgeous. I love this thing. I have to have it. Then I thought, well, I have these 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which is really nice.
Big.
Do I really need both? And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. So I told the first guy who helped me, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. And then he's like, well, you got 14 days. I'm like, oh, you're an asshole. So I told him, fine, I'll do it. And then for some reason, somebody else helped me who got the phone. And I'm like, I'm going to make a big boy decision. I'm not going to buy the Mini because I have an iPad Pro and I barely use that thing. I'm not going to use the other one either. So, and I got this, Max, which is almost the size of the Mini anyway. So I got home and started thinking about it. And
the more you thought about it,
the more I thought about it, I'm like,
the better it sounded.
The better it sounded. And I don't need 2 iPads and I don't need this Pro. So I just wiped it and I'm going to send it to somebody I kind of know. He paid me already. Best Buy has the iPad Mini. They have excellent certified. So I saved $40 there, and then I also have $50 in reward credits. So
there you go.
Hey.
So I'm getting the 256 gigs for $5 something. So I'm going to do that.
But you don't have it yet.
I don't have it yet, and I'm going to ship this one out, so I'll be iPadless for a bit. But I have my iPad Air. I'm sorry.
Well, and if you're not using this one now, it's not going to be it's no great loss to be without something that you're not really using in the first place. So.
And with the M1 MacBook Air, you could run I mean, you can run iPad apps on there if you really want to.
You really need to, yeah.
If you really need to, which you really don't. But my initial thought was I got the Pro, the iPad Pro before iOS 15 was even announced, and I'm like, okay, this year they're gonna be really overhauling iPad OS to be a little bit more,
capable. Is the word I like.
I say capable, and then we all say like, what can't it do? What is it not doing that I want to do? And like my brain has to think about it. But yeah, I kind of wanted it to be more of a computer than it would have been. And the best they gave us was universal access, and that never, or universal control, and that never really even we can't see it yet because it hasn't been released in any.
And it only works if you have an if they're both M1 devices.
Which I do. Yeah. So my plan was basically to use the iPad as a glorified sidecar, thing. So it seems silly for a $1,200 iPad to use it like that. So, it's like, I'll be fine. So I'm excited. I'm excited to, get the Mini. I already had to purchase a cheap Amazon case for it. Because I bought it and then returned it. So I'm like, do I return the Amazon case or the case for it? I'm like, let's hold on just to see. So I'll get something a little bit more. What I'm hoping for is a keyboard thing for it. I haven't seen one for the Mini yet, like a little keyboard case for it.
So I think if the keyboard was only the width of the iPad, or I guess the height, of the the long side of the iPad Mini, that wouldn't be a very comfortable case to type on. They have them.
They had them for the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm sure they're gonna have one for the 6. I mean, they're not. Yes, it's not. Like right now, I have one of those Logitech Keys to Go things.
Oh yeah.
So that's sort of like that, but I think there's one that kind of makes like a little case for it. So for a keyboard. So yeah, I mean it's a. If it didn't pull the trigger today, I would never have done it. And the real reason too is I'm trying to scrounge together money because that MacBook is coming. It's coming. It's coming next week. I think a week or two we're going to get some kind of
rumors. With the iPad, so really what it comes down to is you like the size, you like the screen. Which color are you gonna go with? Space gray?
I went with the Sandstorm or whatever it was.
Oh, the Starlight.
The Starlight was it? Yeah, not the pink one and not the
pink or purple.
It wasn't pink or purple.
And you got 256, just the Wi-Fi model, right?
I got 256 Wi-Fi. Like we were saying before we started, I got I switched my plan to the Magenta Max Plus, or what was it?
The Magenta Max with T-Mobile, yep.
With T-Mobile to get the good trade-in deal, but I also get, I think it was like 40 gig hotspot data on that too. So I've never got cell data on my iPad for that reason, because I could just hotspot it to my phone.
I don't either. So, So it sounds like the size is really what attracted you to deciding to go with this.
I've had the Mini 1 through 5, and I loved them all, and we all have this grand vision of like, I'm gonna be on planes all the time, and I'm going to use this on a plane and watch my movie. I mean, that's my plan, is to eventually get onto a plane so I could watch it without having it.
And someone's seat doesn't go back and push your iPad into you.
Did you have you had a 10-inch, right? Or what was it that happened?
Yeah, well, I was dumb and put it into the seat pocket with my case that it was holding on to, and the guy walked right past it and it fell to the floor and shattered.
Okay. No. So with an iPad Mini, that might not happen because it's
it's small.
But it's. I mean, have you seen the Mini in person yet?
Not yet. I'll definitely have to go to the Apple Store. I'm actually going on Saturday because a family member who bought the iPhone 12 Pro Max shattered the glass around the back of the lenses of the camera, and she just got it since I got it, since I just bought the 13. So so it's that glass frame around the lenses of the camera that got shattered. So so I'm hoping hoping that it's covered. I mean, it doesn't make any sense how that could easily been just chipped like that. So I'll definitely be looking at it. Kelly, you said, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it basically looks like the Pro but smaller. It looks like the new Air but smaller. So, but
it's faster because it's got the A15.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, you said you had something you wanted to bring up on as far as the iPad Mini.
Well, I mean, I too have coveted the Mini for some time, and part of it was in the olden days. It was for travel because I normally have I don't have like the 12.9 Pro, but I always had like the 10, 11 inch neighborhood. And I like it, but I have always sort of wanted something that was a little more portable. And now with the job that I have, I will regularly at some point in the future, be traveling cross country and needing to spend time on the East Coast. And when I do that, I will have significant amounts of time on airplanes and things and going places. And I thought it would be super great to have, especially the new Mini with the square sides and the capacity and the speed, to be able to take something like that and have that be sort of my travel device. Because my go-to, I've actually not just been using like the same model of keyboard since the iPad was originally released. I've been using the same keyboard since the iPad was released, and it's the old Apple wireless keyboard with the little barrel on the back. That's just the little the plain old wireless keyboard. I have one of those, and I spent I spent like $12 or $13 on Amazon and bought a case for that. And that covers up the keys, and then when you fold the case, when you take the case off, you can fold it back, and then whatever you want to type on can prop up against the back of the case. And I really like, it looks like David's grabbing one right now. It's kind of like that. So like I've been using that same keyboard forever, and I love it because it's basically bulletproof. Mine works like that, but the flap has angles on each side. So when you fold it back,
that's good.
Like each side sort of folds back and then props up whatever it is. So I've put a 12.9 inch, it wasn't mine, but I put a 12.9 inch iPad there to hold it up just to see what would happen, and it totally worked. So I've used that case forever, and I was like, I'll just use the same keyboard so that I get like a solid, normal touch typing experience, and I'll just use that and it'll be fine. But like Warren, I went, well, this year's going to be the year of iPad because they put an M1 in this bad boy. So obviously, like I need to support you've put this desktop class processor in it. Obviously, now that you're giving me desktop class hardware, you're going to give me desktop class software. And boy, howdy, did I make a mistake. Now, I love my iPad. Don't get me wrong. I adore it. I use it for a significant amount of time every single day now. But I was like, that Mini for traveling, like now that I actually have a reason and I'm going to be traveling regularly, but I still don't have that reason officially yet. And I'm not going to for a while. So I kind of talked myself out of it, but I've had a hard time finding a case for my Pro that I really like. So I wanted to ask both of you about the case that you have for your iPad Pro, or like Warren, what you end up getting for real for your Mini, like if they make that in a larger size, because I've had a couple that I got and did not enjoy.
So what I have is this. I for my last iPad Pro, I had the Magic Keyboard, and I liked it, but it was just crazy heavy, and I hated it. This is a Logitech one that Apple sells that I have for the Pro, and I did like it better than the Magic Keyboard. If you're looking for kind of like a keyboard thing, it's Combo Touch from Logitech. It's nicer because it's a little bit lighter, and it's more. It's a lot like a Surface, a Microsoft Surface keyboard.
Oh, okay.
It's very flat. So,
yeah,
it had that. But, it's still heavy. And, then that's when I got to the point where, if I'm going to carry around a 12.9 inch iPad with a heavy keyboard, then why don't I just bring my MacBook Air?
At that point, you've got a laptop on your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but Yeah. As far as the mini, now that I made this decision, I'm gonna be on the hunt. So I'll let you know if I find anything good on that.
Well, I can make general like brand name recommendations and things like that. Like here's ones I know are solid. Here's things that are good. I don't generally care if there's a keyboard on mine or not. I just want something that'll hold it up solidly.
The Zugu. That's what this one is, with the pencil holder.
Okay.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
It's got the.
Is it a lot of case though?
No, it's not. It's nice. It's
okay.
This flips back, and you got the stand back here.
Okay.
So and you got different tiers, so you can. I just couldn't resist not having this case like that, so you can tier it up to whichever you like to. There's that's how the stand looks. So, and then I like the fact that it's got the pencil. There's elastic here that the pencil holds, but then at the very top here, it does charge it right here too. So.
That's nice.
And that's for the Pro, 11-inch Pro?
Yes, that's the one I got. Yeah, this is made by the Zugu, Z-U-G-U case. I've recommended this case before. So
I got something off Amazon. If you go to Slick Deals and Deal News and all that, you'll get all the specials on that. And I found one. I'll post it. I haven't tried it yet, but it was that and the screen protector for like $9, and it looks good. So
there you go.
I'll get something. I always do it because like when the new devices come out, I get whatever's available, and then as time goes on, I'll get something a little bit.
Then go get the real case. Yeah. See, I've got like the temp case on mine that I've had since this spring when I got my iPad, but I haven't. I've been sort of watching for there to be something that would make me go, "Ooh, yeah, that case is the case I need." And I can't find it. So
for an iPad, it's you're either looking at the folio, not the folio, but the flap, which is like nothing, or something like the Magic Keyboard, which is like a brick. So I mean, you could get anywhere in between. So it really depends what if you want something like just basic protection and you don't want it to be lighter than heavier, or if you want something with more protection or more features, and it becomes brick. So it depends on where you're going to bring it.
All right, I want two more. I got some tips I want to get to here before we wrap up, and we'll talk briefly here about the Apple Watch. Warren, you said you are going to pre-order the Series 7, which is going to be available as we record this on Friday, October 8th. They're still kind of not providing a lot of information other than the fact that it's going to be able to be pre-ordered at 5 a.m. Pacific time. Tomorrow as we record this, and it'll be available in stores the following week on October 15th. So you still don't even know how much they're going to take for your trade-in. So that's how so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I
wasn't going to do it, but they have the green watch, and I have the green. I love the forest green, so I got the forest green leather case for the 13 Max, and I got the nice. A
lot of good colors.
I got to do it because that's the year of me.
Okay. I'm sticking with my Series 6. I had the Series 4. I didn't get the Series 5 now. Series 6 is what I've got, and happy with it. I just don't see any need to upgrade this time, but who knows? I might fall for it, but I don't think so. I was resistant on an Apple Watch, so I did wait. I did skip a generation. So, and Kelly, I'm sure you're the same way. You're happy with what you have, right?
Well, I have a 4, and but I wear it all the time.
It's perfectly good to watch.
I love it. The battery's great. It's super responsive. Like everything. Like I don't have any complaints about it. Like everything about it is solid. I don't have anything that's like wrong with it or something that I don't like. But because I wear it to bed, which is the thing I cannot recommend to people highly enough, because I wear it to. Most of the reason I wear it to bed. Most of the reason I continue to wear it to bed is because the alarm, being the tap on your wrist, is just an orders of magnitude nicer way to wake up every morning.
Yep.
And when your alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning, it makes it even nicer. Like anything you can do to make that experience a tiny bit better is a great thing. So because I wear it overnight, I really want to the fast charging in the new one is a thing that has a lot of appeal to me, because I wear it overnight, so I have to find other times during the day when I'm able to get it charged. And so being able to have those times be more efficient and maybe not have to find so many of them. And it's not because my battery life is crap or anything like that. It's just because like leaving it on the charger for an hour or whatever, like then, that makes it hard to close rings and stuff later. And so sometimes that's difficult. But that's why like the fast charging seems like a thing that I would like very much. So I think probably what will happen is I will end up super excited with Series 9 or whatever it is.
I'll probably
the next one.
I'll probably be the same way the next one, and which will be fine. And we'll just stick with that. It's fine. But we'll wait to hear Warren's report when he gets his and see.
There's a 50-50 shot. I'm gonna say screw it.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll find out next week, right?
Yep.
All right. But I've got 4 tips. I wanted to start doing some tips here for iOS 15 because there's so many things that are out there you can do with iOS 15 that's new. So let me get through these with you guys and give you some tips of some of the new features that were added to iOS 15. The first one is the custom text size. You now can do this per app. You could not do this before. To put the text size setting, you actually can add that to the control center. If anybody isn't familiar with that, how to do that, you go into the control center, go under settings, and then go under the control center, and then you add text size. Now, normally, you would have gone into this text size button and you just slide the bar up or down, making the text size larger or smaller, and that would just affect it globally. Everything on the iPhone would be that size. But now what you can do is you can add specific apps to individually or all the apps, and make the text size bigger or smaller for just that. So I tried it just to say the Notes app. I went and zoomed it up to 125 or 135. That looked cool and it was big, but then I went back to the Message app and it wasn't as big. But you can actually go in as you select each app, go into the control center, select the text size, and then you can select that app to be a specific size. I thought that was pretty cool. That is, it's huge. I think it's
no idea.
Yeah, isn't this cool? I mean, so you just go in there.
My eyes are thanking you.
Yeah. So now, if you don't want it to be global, there might be some apps you prefer it to be smaller. Now you have the choice of which apps can and cannot have the smaller or bigger text size. Yeah. So check that out. The next tip was in Safari. Safari has, of course, the tab groupings, which is a cool new feature that they've added. In Safari, you can actually paste in Notes and other documents a group of tabs, which would bring actually the URLs and be able to send it to people. So what you can do is you open up the tabs group in Safari, and then you tap the top left, which is Edit. You tap the ellipse next to the group that you want to send a copy of, and then select Copy. Then you paste it in any email, document, or wherever you want to send this to. So once you do this, it'll paste it like I've done it in Notes. This come in handy for me when I'm taking notes. Maybe I'm on my iPhone while I'm taking notes for the show, and now I can actually have all these tabs that I've opened and looked at, and have all those links ready to go in my notes, and be able to go right back to them. And that tab group, of course, stays there, and you can customize that tab group as well. So I thought this is a very cool feature that they've added in Safari. I'm
still stuck in that first one. I don't need the other one. I'm happy I got that iPad mini now because I was worried about that. Now I can see everything.
So Warren, do you already have Magnify in your control center?
Yeah, I do. Because that's I use all the time.
Yeah. I set my mom up with that and blew her mind.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff that you can put right here.
Yeah.
And then, anything you can do to make Control Center a thing that actually is helpful. Again, spend a couple minutes, edit, make it a thing that works for you, and everything is just more convenient and nicer and better, and you will be happier.
Absolutely.
Combine Magnify with the picture to text. You could select the text in a picture now, which is
live text.
Perfect for the little thing.
the live text stuff is great.
It's awesome.
You gotta give somebody a number and it's printed on something. It's cake. It's great. And
I used it I thought it had to be the camera. This was the thing about it that blew my mind was it doesn't have to be the camera. No. So I asked somebody, I was asking somebody for a list, and it was a list that I didn't realize they'd written on paper. And so they took a picture of the list, the handwritten list on paper, and sent me that picture. And then I went to send that picture. I was like, okay, it was a list of names. So I'm like, okay, let me just copy down those 7 names. wait a minute, will this work? And it gave me the little brackets, and I went and copied and pasted them. Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
And it was but it was from a photo that was texted. That was not a picture I took. B, showed up in messages. C, came from an Android phone.
Yep. Doesn't matter.
And so every one of those things made me go, well, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And then it totally worked. So it was funny because I needed to give the list to Mr. Kelly. But then when I realized this was going to work, I was like, this is a thing that's new in iOS 15 and you need to know about it. So I'm going to show you this.
There you go.
So here, watch. And then I did it. And then opened up and he's like, you're just texting that to me. And I'm like, I know, but I just wanted you to see this is a prime example of why it's a good idea. So here you go. This is how it works. And then texted him. And he's like, but now I've already seen it and I don't need it anymore. And I'm like, I don't care.
I literally convinced.
Let me just show you the thing.
I've convinced more than 5 people to update to iOS 15 just for that.
Just for these reasons. The live text, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of magnifier, you guys were just talking about magnifier. There is in iOS 13, in iOS 14, they removed this feature, which I didn't understand at all. What this is the text selection magnifier. It was removed in iOS 14, but now it's back in iOS 15.
Yay!
What you can do is tap anywhere the text appears in an email, a message, a note, anything, and that's normally the way you do that. Is the reason you do that is so you can move your cursor over it and reposition it to where maybe you want to change or make an edit or something. But now what's going to happen is when you tap and go into that section, it's actually going to have a magnifier that pops up. So you actually can see not only the cursor that moves where you are in each word, it also magnifies the word that you're looking for, and you might want to see it closer.
Nice.
So you got that now. It makes it much easier because I always had trouble. I mean, granted, I like that the touchpad keyboard. When you tap the keyboard, we know that tip is where you tap the keyboard, it becomes a touchpad, and then you move around. Well, you don't have to do that anymore now because if this has this magnifier, you just tap it within the body of the text, and now you can see the word and get to it just as easy to go it that way, as opposed to using the touchpad feature in the keyboard. So very cool. And then the last feature I want to talk about is as another awesome thing they really added to the iPhone, the iOS 15 is the fact now that if your iPhone gets turned off, you now are still going to be able to find it through Find My, because it's off. So in the settings app, if you tap your Apple ID banner at the top and then select Find My, you go in there, you have to make sure that the switches next to Find My iPhone and Find My Network are turned on. And this way that you'll be able to find your iPhone in Find My app in the Devices tab, even though your iPhone is either run out of battery or it's turned off, because it's still transmitting that data. So it should be turned on, and it isn't going to cause any problems for you at all as far as finding that goes. And this is an awesome feature because that's always the frustration. If you lose your iPhone, I've talked about that plenty of times, family members losing their phone. Luckily, they were able to find it because it was still on. But what if it was off? Now you don't have to worry about it anymore. So 4 great tips that I pulled out on the internet here and found and been playing around with on iOS 15. There'll be plenty more coming in future shows. But I think all of us have learned something new here today with some of the new nifty things that are being added to iOS 15, that have been added to iOS 15. All right. Well, with that, I think we did a lot of stuff this week, and it was a great show. Let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. And that is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. We do usually live stream the show on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DaveG65. We also can find and watch past streams and listen to all the episodes we record. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Kelly, thank you so much for being back on the show. We always love having you. Tell us where everybody can find you.
You can find me 5 days a week hosting the Mac Observer Daily Observations podcast over at macobserver.com. We occasionally do some tips for features that we find in iOS 15 as well. You can also find us over there on Fridays, where we do Security Friday and talk about ways that you can keep your data safe and private, and actionable tips. We always like to have a practical tip each week for something that you can do to make things a little more secure or a little more convenient, but also secure, which is another thing we like a lot. You can find me over on my own podcast at the Incomparable Network called I Want My MCU TV, where we talk about the latest Disney Plus streaming program from Marvel. And I occasionally show up on other podcasts over at The Incomparable, like Football is Life, where we talk about Ted Lasso. And the rest of the time, gosh, you can find me on the After Show podcast with Mike Rose, and you can find me on Twitter as Verso.
Thanks, Kelly. And Warren, where can people find you? Mac to the Future and other places?
Facebook, Mac to the Future group, if that's where you want to hang out. It's a fun place. We don't talk anything really other than Apple stuff and technology in general. So if that's what you like, that's what we talk about. I do the show here and there with Chuck on Tuesday nights.
Yep. Mac Voices Live.
When we're there, and otherwise here with you. So thanks, Kelly. This is when I say thanks, Kelly. It's always fun. It's nice to see somebody other than Jeff in our box here and there. So
I don't have him out every week.
Well, I love Jeff.
Can't not love Jeff.
Thanks for a change. Yeah.
We love you, Jeff.
It's good to be there.
All right. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And I thank you for listening and watching. And we hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll talk to you again next time.